Imbros and Tenedos have been violently deculturalized. The resettlement of the islands continues. 3 new villages have been constructed and populated with Muslim settlers. There are even a few Arabic-speaking families brought in from southeastern Turkey. Contrary to its aspirations, the sole effect of the environment and culture protection legislation on Imbros has been the confiscation of land belonging to members of the Greek minority. Significant archaeological sites and natural monuments have been left to decay or to destruction. Some of the most typical examples are the archaeological site of Pyrgos, lying within the Ministry of Justice summer resort, the unique array of the Cascavel rocks that are seriously threatened by the excavations designed for the construction of the new marina, and the construction of a surf club right in the middle of the peninsula of Kefalos, Aydınjuk, and its rare sand dunes, and opposite one of the most significant natural habitats of flamingos and other endangered wild bird species. The situation is reflected in the number of reports by the European Commission, the European Parliament, and the Council of Europe. The violations of the Greek minority's rights on Imbros are mentioned in the 2004 and 2005 regular reports on Turkish progress towards EU accession. Surprisingly enough, the situation on Tenedos was not addressed in those reports. The EU position, drawn up by the Permanent Representatives Committee in April 2005 and endorsed by the Council, also calls on Turkey to resolve the problems of the people of Imbros. The mobilization of the Greek minority and the positive response of international organizations to their appeals motivated the Turkish Prime Minister, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, to visit Imbros and Tenedos in April 2005. It was the first time a Turkish Prime Minister had visited the islands in the 82 years that they have been a part of Turkey. Mr. Erdogan pledged to ensure equal treatment for the Greek minority and to examine its problems. Though his statements appear to reflect a confused idea of the existing situation, Turkish press articles acknowledged that islanders' rights were being violated. Today, in the midst of old ruins, but with an indomitable historical spirit, the people of Imbros and Tenedos are trying to preserve what can be saved. What is even more remarkable, and contrary to what one should normally expect, shortly after the lifting of the access restraints in 1989, many islanders who were forced to leave their birthplace began to visit the islands themselves. Year after year, Imbros and Tenedos have become the meeting point on the occasion of religious feasts and traditional gatherings of numerous Imbriots and Tenedians from every corner of the earth. Every year, for example, on the 15th of August, thousands of Imbriots scattered all over the world return to the island to celebrate the Dormition of the Virgin Mary. The thousands of islanders who go back to their roots are determined to leave behind the traumas of the past and live peacefully together with the Muslim population. Whether this dream will become true depends a lot upon the readiness and willingness of the Turkish state to adopt the necessary reforms which will ensure equal treatment between Muslim and non-Muslims. Unfortunately, there's still a long way to go. Despite the fact that there are still many Turkish officials that clearly fail to realize this unique opportunity, there are also some signs that indicate otherwise. High-ranking Turkish government officials have been displaying a conciliatory stance, and Turkish public opinion is moving more in favor of the people of Imbros and Tenedos. Under those circumstances, there is now a valid hope that positive specific actions will be taken to redress the injustices and discrimination suffered by the Greek minority over the past 82 years. Those actions may be summarized in the following points. To grant to the Greek minority full and equal access to the island's administration. To restitute the injustices resulting from the application of land registry laws and procedures. To recognize property rights for the original landowners and their descendants who owned or possessed properties before 1964. To recognize the rights to inherit to all heirs of the original landowners regardless of citizenship. To restore Turkish citizen status to the indigenous islanders who lost it and their descendants. To To return expropriated land that was never used for or ceased to serve the official purposes of the expropriation. To lift the prohibition on Greek minority education. To return the ownership of all Greek minority school buildings of Imbros and Tenedos to their respective communities. To return all immovable properties to the ownership of the parish church in Tenedos. To lift all sorts of technical and bureaucratic obstacles that prevent the unhindered access and operation of all churches and church property. To implement all necessary measures for the preservation of natural environment and the archaeological treasures of the islands. To return all traditional houses and buildings designated as monuments of culture to their original owners and to provide all appropriate incentives for their preservation. To lift all bureaucratic obstacles to allow sea communication between Imbros and Tenedos with the Greek ports.